7 NASCAR championships. He, defending 500 champ Denny Hamlin, and the rest of America's best are here in Daytona under sunny blue skies, ready to warm up for the Clash. There's the fellow who drew the pole. Welcome to Daytona and FS1's coverage of practice for the Clash at Daytona, presented by Chevrolet. Beautiful day here in the World Center of Racing, and are we thrilled to be back with you. Look at all the things that have happened since we talked to you last. The Cubs won the World Series. The Patriots won the only overtime Super Bowl in history, and it all happened on Fox. What's next? Well, here we go with practice for the reborn Clash. Jeff, you ran this race many times. What did it mean to you, and what did it mean looking forward to the 500 having been in this race?
Well, what I think about is the first time I ran the Clash, I was so excited to be a part of the elite group that makes up the Clash, and I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be able to mix it up with the best in this business, so I think of Daniel Suarez. I think of some of these young drivers like Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, who are going to be on that stage and get a chance to highlight what they're capable of doing. And then for those veterans, this is how we sort of knock the rust off over the offseason. Look in your mirror, work with your spotter, get in the middle of a draft, and get ready for what truly is a Clash of the Titans.
So this will be the first time that these Cup cars have been on Daytona this year. And this race has been reinvented. It's not a throwback, but the original name, the Clash, is back, Darrell. The field is smaller, tighter, more select. The race is more concentrated. It's much more like it was when you won it.
Yeah, it really is. But back to his point, driver orientation. You got to have a little driver orientation to get comfortable out there. But yeah, it was 1981, and I was driving the Mountain Dew car for Junior Johnson, and I was trying to fill those big shoes of Cale Yarborough. And Cale was pretty darn good here at Daytona, and I had a shot. Like any young, brash kid would do, to get by the old veteran, Benny Parsons. He blocked me inside, he blocked me outside. I went to the apron, and I passed Benny on the apron to win that Clash.
What Benny said?
He was not happy. He said, that's out of bounds.
And then how long did it take him to actually make it out of bounds? Like another 10 or 15 years.
Well, tomorrow night we'll be joined up here in the Fox booth by a special guest, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He won't be in the Clash. Look at that name above the window. Alex Bowman, who did win a pole in the 88 in 2016, will drive the 88 in this special event, non-points race that gets the season started. He's not the only newcomer who will be in tomorrow night's Clash. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Mike, the biggest surprise of the offseason, Daniel Suarez moving the Cup, replacing Carl Edwards in the 19. And much like Bill Belichick in the NFL, trying to make the situation as comfortable as possible for Jimmy Garoppolo replacing Tom Brady, Coach Joe Gibbs and company all had a discussion and agreed upon a change of moving veteran spotter Chris Osborne from the 20 of Kenseth down to the 19 of Suarez. Simple reason, whether in trucks or Xfinity, the only spotter that Suarez has ever worked with is Chris Osborne. So this is going to be a huge learning opportunity for Suarez in this practice session. But the biggest thing, he's got the veteran on the stand, and they can start that learning process. Not only this Cup car and what it does in the draft, but also the drafting personalities around it. Jamie Little?
That's why I didn't see. Okay, we're still waiting.
They are at Daytona. Kevin Harvick actually got to test this car one time in Phoenix in January, and the team came away with it thinking, well, we gathered a lot of information, but we feel like we're a little behind. A lot of question marks. There's a lot more that goes into an engine change than just plugging in the new engine. So Kevin Harvick now waiting. His crew chief, Rodney Childers, working on the front of the race car right now. There's a lot going on for this team. Rodney said he forgot it's even practice time right now. So you can imagine all these guys in the Stewart-Haas camp, 3 out of the 4 in the Clash, they are eager to get on track.
I think that was Ricky Carmichael standing next to Harvick down in the garage. The GOAT, the greatest of all time in Supercross.
Looking for a ride.
Well, they've been longtime friends. You remember who owned the truck that he drove when he drove in the truck series? It was Kevin Harvick, I believe, was the owner of that truck.
Well, good to have him on hand. The Clash at Daytona. Here's how you get in. Pole winners from last year. That's how the original Clash was, with just pole winners. But let's add past winners of the Clash. Daytona 500 pole winners. Last year's, what we now call playoff drivers. Last year they were the chase drivers. And with Carl Edwards' retirement and the 19 already entered, NASCAR approved Daniel Suarez to drive the number 19 in his first start in a Cup car in tomorrow night's Clash. That's just one of a number of great stories we're going to detail as we go through Speed Weeks here. Here's Larry McReynolds.
You know, Mike, we only race 2 restrictor plate tracks a year, 4 races, 2 at Daytona, 2 at Talladega. There was no winter testing at those tracks during the off season, so it's been over 7 months since these driving teams, they've been to a restrictor plate track. Now, I go back to our race here a year ago, and back here in July, handling started becoming more of a premium. This racetrack is losing grip, it's starting to get bumps, so I think what these guys are going to do, talking to them earlier in the garage area, maybe some long runs in the draft to work on handling, and then think about that final segment after that mandatory caution. It's 50 laps. That's right there on the threshold of the fuel window for these cars.
One of the things, Larry, I do worry about a little bit is the handling issue. This is the same tire we've had here since the repave, I think in 2013. It was a pretty hard tire then. You can see the track, it's much wider now, so that means it's lost some grip, some of the traction that they've had in the past. Now, I thought last year these cars were right on the edge of being a little bit too loose.
Yeah, DW, I agree. When I think back to this race a year ago, and the rules haven't really changed much, so the cars are going to drive very, very similar. But you think of track temperature, how that's going to affect things, the aging of the track, as you mentioned. But what I remember, they're side by side, 2 by 2, and cars weren't moving to the front, and they started to have to be more aggressive, going up into the middle, making it 3 wide. That's when we really started seeing the handling get away from some of these drivers.
Yeah, these little engines, I mean, they're restricted. And so if you lift out, you can say, well, I just barely lifted going in the corner. It kills your speed. When you can mac that thing, hold it wide open all the way around the racetrack, then you can get max speed. But if you start having to burp that throttle a little bit, boy, you lose a lot of time.
Well, and that's one of the things you have to do. If you're going to go into the middle, make it 3 wide, you just don't have the amount of air getting to the rear spoiler and pushing that car to the racetrack. You're going to have to pedal and adjust your driving style as you're in the middle, sliding through the corners.
Hanging on for dear life.
Sounds like a tall order. Joey Logano will be in his night Clash Saturday night. Chase Elliott will make his first start in this all-star style race.